afternoon, everybody. I'm Marina, software engineer, and this is Aviv, product manager. We are both part of the Power BI embedded team located in Israel. We would like to provide you an overview session of the Power BI embedded platform and introduce you to some of the new features and capabilities which are about to be released later this week. It is a fact that in any modern enterprise, employees rely on apps to get their work done. But research shows that less than 22% of the employees have access to analytic software and tools. In order to disseminate analytical insights throughout the enterprise and bring critical information to the context of business process operation, it is paramount to bring analytics to apps. We asked developers what are some of the top challenges you face in delivering contextual analytics within your application, and we got a variety of answers. I'll present here the top 3. The consumption experience of software varies. Employees are accessing business application on mobile, tablet, wearables, PCs, and laptops. The way software needs to convey analytics needs to be consistent experience and intuitive for the end user. The type of the data and the volume of the data today's application handle is quite complex, and getting analytical insight out of that underneath data is quite challenging. Sorry. The average attention span of human beings is on a steady decline over the last 10 years. To ensure user engagement, the analytics needs to be visually appealing and user-friendly. In modern business application, the data visualization built in have to inform, they can inform the decision in context for any user on any device. When you are, as a developer, ready to enrich your application with powerful analytics, you can choose one of the 2 options. You can either go and build it yourself, having in mind that building and maintaining your application and getting to market at the speed you would like is challenging, or you can go and buy the best fit solution, solution which is fully managed and sorry, I'm a bit excited. So you can go and find the best fit solution, platform which is fully managed, and appropriate for. Sorry.
You're talking about Power BI, right?
Yeah. So all this was a preparation for Power BI. So Power BI is an industry-leading analytic platform, which is cloud optimized, open and extensible, that will help you deliver intelligent insights, interactive data visualization directly within your application. With Power BI, you can connect to the data that matters for your application, whether it's on-premise or in the cloud, with a rich collection of data visualizations. Yeah.
Okay. So, hello everyone. My name is Aviv. I'm the PM for Power BI Embedded, and we are here to speak about the new release that we have for you guys coming out this June. There are a lot of new and exciting stuff coming out with this release, and we've done, I don't know, how many of you know Power BI Embedded already? Okay, quite a lot. Okay, so I'm gonna do this session for both audiences. We know some of you are not familiar with Power BI Embedded specifically, not Power BI as a general concept. So we'll try and speak about everything, not only the new stuff, and then we'll have a focus around some of the new things that are changing between the old, not the old, but the current version of Power BI Embedded and the new version that we have just released. Okay, so if we look at the way we look at Power BI Embedded today, we divided it into 4 main, it's between 3 and 4 main steps, but I want to talk about these steps in the eyes of its persona. So for example, we look at the creation step of taking a Power BI desktop and creating reports, this should be done by an analyst usually. All the data preparation, all the data cleanup, everything around that is usually being done by an analyst. And I know most of you, or at least some of you, are looking at the Power BI Embedded as a solution for the development organization or development team. One guy on that team should be the analyst in order to make your project successful. Once we are done with the creation, the next phase would be to provision your solutions. So you want to embed your reports into your application, and you want to be done with this seamlessly within your application. So it could be done automatically as part of your whole deployment process for your application. An additional step that we have here, and this is because of the changes that we are introducing in this release, we are moving, if you are familiar with what we have today, some of the work that you had to do today happens in Azure. Instead, we are now moving the whole offering of Power BI Embedded to be managed within the Power BI portal. So it should be closer to everything that you already are familiar with the service. If you learn something about capabilities for Power BI Desktop or for Power BI, these would automatically be the same set of functionalities that you will find for Power BI Embedded. In that sense, when we talk about managing your application tenants, then some of the tenant level settings that you have today in Power BI would become available for your solution as well. Okay, and the last part is the embedding part, where you use our JavaScript APIs to embed the reports inside your application and build the interaction between your application and the embedded parts. If we want to talk a bit more about each of those steps, again, from the eyes of the user, the relevant user. So as an analyst, the main thing I need to do is to build the reports, Power BI Desktop. I don't think I should teach you anything about Power BI Desktop. You should probably go to the session, the full session about that if you don't know enough about it. But it's one of the main assets that must be used for the process of embedding analytics inside your application. If for some reason you can't find the visualization of your dreams in Power BI Desktop, like if you've heard that in Amir's demos, there is a set of tools. There is a set of 80 if I remember correctly, customized visuals. You can embed those inside the reports into the embedded report that you use in your application. If that's not enough for you, then we have the APIs for you guys to create your own custom visuals. Another part, and this is to show that in some ways this is part of the work of the analyst, and in some ways it's part of the work of the developer. So one of the things what we are adding is an ability to support all data sources. So if until today we only supported mere part of the data sources available for Power BI, with this release we make everything available. So you can do direct connection data sources, you can do cached models, and you can do live data sources. Everything is supported in Power BI Embedded. This is in the sense of an analyst being able to create reports based on anything. If we take a look at the developer side now, we have added APIs to support this. So for example, if you are building a data source based on a cache model, this means you'll need to set up refresh. So there are two ways to set up refresh. Today, there is one way, only through the portal. We are adding refresh APIs, so you'll be able to use the API and set it up at the best time that suits your application. Okay? Going forward, if we look at what developers are doing or what we think developers would want to do, there is the provisioning step. So first of all, how do you provision a multi-tenant application inside Power BI, which is a single-tenant application? So you'll be creating a tenant inside Power BI for your application, and then with workspaces, you'll define a workspace per each of your customers. So if you want to create a set of reports per each one of your customers, you'll create workspaces within Power BI, within the tenant of the application that you are building and that you want to embed reports for. And each of those workspaces would represent one of your customers. This is how you do like a security separation between your customers as a multi-tenant application. That's one thing, and we have the APIs for that. So again, in our mind, part of the story that you guys are looking for is to be able to fully automate the whole process of both embedding and deploying Power BI into your applications. And this is what we are trying to do here. So workspace APIs will become available. I think they already are, but if not, so 1 more week or 2 more weeks. And I'm allowed to say things that are going to be released in 2 weeks from today. And then there are the clone and rebind APIs. So for example, let's take an example. At least it's easier for me to tell that story as an example. You may want to build an ALM story. Let's say that you have a set of reports. Your analyst creates the reports. Now, with the new capabilities, they can publish the reports directly from Power BI desktop to Power BI to a repository. You can call it your test repository. Once there, and the repository is a workspace inside Power BI, only the analyst has access to that repository. He then can test the reports he uploaded. He can validate them. He can go through any process to make sure these reports are the reports that they want to share to their customers. Once they are done with that part, they can initiate a process of moving those reports from test to the production environment. What is the production environment? It's the same tenant used for the application. It's just a different workspace. And we provide the APIs to clone and rebind the reports and the data sets from one workspace to the other. Then this would help you to create an ALM story, an application lifecycle management story. Again, through the APIs, it will make your work much easier as developers. Another example we could give here is the example of onboarding new customers with the same APIs that I've just mentioned. If you create a workspace per each of your customers, you can decide that when a new customer is added to the system, you put your reports in your golden repository, and when you create a new customer, you copy those reports for that specific customer that was just added. You refresh the data with the refresh APIs, and you only show the relevant reports and data for that customer when they log in. In terms of, the REST APIs is everything we just spoke about. All the APIs that I just mentioned, those are the REST APIs. Those help you manage the deployment, manage everything about creating the environment for embedding reports. The second part that I want to mention here is the JavaScript APIs. The JavaScript APIs are the APIs you'll be using that when you embed a report inside your application, you want to be able on the client side to manage the interaction between the visual part and your application. So once you embed a visual, you want to be able to say, for example, if my user clicked on a visual, on a specific chart, on a specific value, I want to grab that and do something in my application. And again, these are the JavaScript APIs. We'll demo everything around that later in our session. The last thing I want to talk about here is the embed tokens. So in order to allow your application to authorize the application users access to reports that are coming from Power BI, you also get APIs to manage that. Okay, that's the embed token API. Through that API, you define for each of your application users what they can do, what's the scope of the work that they can do with these reports. Everything is in control of the developer of the application that handles the embedded parts. Okay, on top of that, I mentioned it before as part of the things that could be done by more a BI admin person. I know it's not something a developer team would have, but since we are moving the reports into Power BI, you'll need to have a person who deals with that. This person would be able to do things like set tenant level settings. I think I've heard this one coming from our customers asking that a good example is export to Excel. So you might have customers that you do want to allow them to do an export to Excel on your reports, and other customers that you do not want them to do that. Through the portal, you can do that. We'll also provide the APIs to set the same things. But now you have the ability to manage tenant-level settings. Another thing is with the Power BI premium capacity, you would want to be able to set which customer is data is residing on which capacity and be able to manage that in some way. I think I heard this question. It was on the user study group that we had an hour earlier. An ability to understand the status of each of the capacities that are used, and then make decisions based on those statuses. So this is something we don't have yet, but it will be coming out soon. Yes?
Is there going to be an event to know when somebody exports so that we can be able to track that and know how often people are actually exporting the data?
So I'm not sure we have an event for export.
Currently, we do not have, but it is something we can think about and implement it.
Yeah, we are building the full interaction between the application and the embedded part is something that will continue to evolve. Okay, so we'll show you a demo in a couple of minutes of what it does include, and when you don't see it, it's not included.
Not necessarily.
and we'll be happy to get the feedback, of course, because this is how we know what's important for you guys. Okay, so I think I haven't spoken enough. I thought I spoke enough and we can move to a demo. But I want to speak about another perspective. Everything that I've mentioned till now is from the perspective of the developer. I'm guessing that you guys are on that side of the personas we've just mentioned. But we want to show you that when we think about embedded analytics, we also think about your customers and what they want to do. So your customers today can only consume reports, but we believe, and we've heard customers saying that your customers want to be able to personalize reports and create reports as well. So this is the perspective that we took, and we've done something with it. And we'll show you a demo in a second. I just want to make sure one more thing is clear. Apart from the self-service capabilities, embedded reports could be put on LOB applications inside your organization. For users who are using Power BI, you'll probably use their Power BI users. And for external users who do not use Power BI, you'll probably use your application to authorize what they can do and see in terms of the reports that you bring them from Power BI. So we fully support internal and external applications. We'll move to a short demo.
I hope so.
Okay. I'll switch. I'll take the driver's seat. Okay.
Yeah. So welcome to our home decor application. This is a demo application we built specifically for this conference to just show you how easily it is to integrate Power BI embedded in your application and how much value you can get out of it for your business and your customers. So currently we are logged into this application as the ISV persona or the developer, which is David for this case. And we can see, David actually can see all the pages and views that the customers can see as well. He has privileged access, and he can do some other operations since he is the app admin. Like the first one would be like adding new customer. We would like to start with this to just show you how easy it is to onboard new customer to an existing application. It might be equivalent to adding new tenant for an ISV in their terminology. So once we start adding new customer, we have this friendly form to enter the customer metadata. And I'm also required to select a few of the pre-canned reports we would like to add for these customers. These reports were pre-added, like template or something the ISV prepared for one customer, and they might be relevant or appropriate for other customers as well. Let's do some small context switch to powerbi.com. Now we log into Power BI as the application master user. We will later on elaborate on the purpose of this master user as part of the authentication flow to Power BI. We can see now the ISV tenant, and currently it has only one workspace with the golden reports, the pre-canned report we just showed you. And when we go back to the application and actually trigger the flow for adding new customer,
I did it.
oh, sorry. I just wanted to show him that surprise. So now the application, when we were in the customized application, the third-party application, behind the scenes, actually, it created new Power BI workspace. It copied all the pre-canned report to the targeted workspace and bind it to the customer's data source. So all of this was done automatically using our REST APIs, and we have demonstrated the add workspace, clone report, rebind, and set data connections. We have many more REST APIs. We have like get metadata, get reports, get dashboards, and get tiles. Within this application, you will also see later on the reports, on the reports tag section, the usage of get reports API. Okay, so let's log out from the David persona in the application and log in with the customer persona. This would be the Melinda at homemade.com. As the customer on the main dashboard, she can see business metrics with KPIs, which are live and showing the metrics for the data. And let's go into the report section. We can see that Melinda can see all the pre-canned reports we copied beforehand, and we just pick one of them, for example, the sales report. And here we have the familiar embedded Power BI report. The report is interactive, live, and up-to-date. Our user, Melinda, as the end user of the application, was granted permission to customize and personalize the pre-canned report. So she is now able to press the edit button, for example, edit report, and we enter the familiar experience of authoring like we have in Power BI portal. Now we can start adding and authoring the report. So for example, let's take the table visual and change it to donut chart. And well, Aviv is messing up with the colors as well. So let's go ahead and save it. Here you can see a fully customized application dialog for the save as dialog. This is also a new extensibility point we added for our developers to enable the application to build their own customized experience when dealing with report creation, for example. So now we save the report with home sale, how do you name it?
Homemade sales.
Homemade sales, and we can see it was added to the personalized report section. And another feature that the application may introduce to its users is to promote this report to the organizational reports level. And by clicking the share button, for example.
Yeah, but just to add one more thing.
Sure.
If a report is under the personalized reports, it could only be seen by the person who created it. And then if you want to promote it to the organization, then you move it into the organization reports. Sorry.
Okay, sure. So now we share this report, and it's being added to the organizational report section. And as Aviv mentioned, I would like to add another point, that all this permission grant and handling is part of the application ISV business logic, and it's not part of the Power BI. The application manages its user, and for this sharing experience, when it decides to share with security group or with another person or with the entire organization, it's up to the ISV application to handle it. Okay, so Melinda can also create new report. Based on a data set that was shared with her, she can enter this mode where we see the blank canvas and the free drag and drop experience, and we see all the fields from the data set. We can just author a new report like you can do in the desktop or in PowerBI.com, but this is fully available as an experience in the ISV application. And it provides you amazing self-service capabilities. We can save the report with the personalized or playground report. And for this time, it will show up again in the personalized section. And we will keep it this way because this is something only Melinda will have access to it as she created it. And it's something which is personal only for her.
Okay.
Yeah. So just to summarize, we've shown you many of the new capabilities. We've seen full self-service capabilities with adding and creation of new reports. We've shown you some of the provisioning and management capabilities using the REST APIs. And now we are moving forward to the advanced topics.
Okay, so let's talk about.
Sure.
Everything. Everything. We build an application, Ran sitting here, build an application for us to show you guys that how you do an embedded Power BI reports. This is why we switched between Power BI and the embedded application to show you we are using the real implementation of Power BI reports inside an application. It's, of course, a demo application that we built just to make this show as you would work with it. Okay. I'm sorry.
No, it's not related to Power BI at all. Just the colors, yeah, and we know it's not.
So is all the create, edit, all that, you can embed all of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the point. Yes. We'll show another example. I'm sorry.
Haven't seen us been able to get completely that. We've been able to get dashboards and that, not the whole edit and create.
This was released in June. Yeah, this is just now added. That's the whole point.
So another thing just to add, we will have this week a few C# examples for web application on our GitHub. You can download the sample and you just have to insert few small inputs, like minimal inputs, and then you can just run this application and you will have embedded report. We also have other samples which we will show you later on to get you started quickly.
Yeah, let's do a short and confined session of questions. Otherwise, we won't get to the more interesting parts. Yes. And not publishing to the, I'm sorry? SharePoint. Again, it depends what you want to do. If you have, in general, I would say that if your users are using Power BI, then you should embed your reports either in SharePoint or in an external application, but then you'll use the licensing of Power BI users. If your users are not Power BI users and all you want to do is share a report with them or a dashboard with them, then again, you can do it in SharePoint like Amir has demoed earlier, or in your other application if that has a different context. And then you'll do the authorization of the users, the external users. You'll do it on your application, and you'll manage the access rights between your users and the embedded report part. Okay? The whole idea here is that we give the ability to embed a report coming from Power BI and then show it to users who are not Power BI users. All of this providing that you use Premium, but we didn't get to that part in the presentation yet. Let's take one more question and then we'll move on. I'm sure you got a lot of questions, but we want to make sure that we cover everything and we'll leave time at the end for questions if that's okay. Yep. Again, I can't hear if you don't mind.
Which API has Power BI refresh? Is it REST or SDK?
The REST APIs.
The REST for
APIs.
refresh data, it would be the REST API. You can also have refresh report, like the layout, but this would be on the JavaScript.
Yeah,
client
so
API.
the REST APIs are taking care of business on the backend side, and the JavaScript APIs are the front-end side. And you want to refresh the data, you want to do it on the backend. Okay? Okay, so some of the advanced topics that we want to talk about today is the flow, the new flow that I'm talking about just now. It's a bit different than the one you're familiar with, so it's important to go through that. Then we'll talk about report access with the embed token that I just mentioned that when you want to connect reports to external users, you want to use the embed token, RLS, and the API surface in general. Okay, so in terms of the new flow for Power BI Embedded, if you are familiar with the current implementation, it was based on Azure Workspace Collection and then Workspaces as the report containers. Then you would import the reports and you would provision it or embed it into your reports. In the new world, you see we've divided this slide into 3 main steps: creationing, provisioning, and embedding. I left out the management from this slide. So the creation part remains in Power BI Desktop as it was until today. You'll continue and create your reports in Power BI Desktop. Embedding still happens with the same JavaScript APIs. We'll mention those in a minute, but this is the client-side APIs. Those remain mostly the same. The area that changes the most is the provisioning area. So today, instead of building your workspace collections in Azure, you'll have to take the steps of creating an AAD tenant. This AAD tenant would be used to set up the location of the tenant of Power BI. Where do you want the reports to reside in order to embed them and to share them with your customers? There will be an AAD user here that will define the security credentials. So when your application logs into Power BI to get the reports, you need Power BI to recognize your application. This would be done with the AAD user. And then you'll have workspaces, so workspaces within Power BI, which are parallel to the workspaces that you had in Azure. The 2 things also mentioned here are the licenses. And we'll talk about this later, but worth mentioning that in order to embed reports, you need the Pro license to start developing, and you need capacity to start working with massive testing or even production, of course. I think we can skip this. This is summarizing everything that I just mentioned about the slide before. Let's talk about token authentication.
So how does the authentication goes towards Power BI? So we can see here third-party application and its end user trying to access one of the Power BI embedded elements within it. It's worth mentioning that the end user of the application is not necessarily AAD user and not necessarily have license to Power BI at all. When you try to access Power BI resource, desirably on the backend side of the application, it will refresh the master user token from AAD, and using this access token, it will ask Power BI to generate an embed token that will be returned to the end user with particular permission scope to access specific resource for specific operation like view report, edit, or create. And it has the time span derived from the AD time span. So it maximum stays live active for 1 hour. So it's under the application responsibility to keep it refresh, and on each request to embed new resource or when this token is about to be expired, to get a new one. So once Power BI returns the embed token, the ISV backend application gets it to the front end, and using our embedded JavaScript APIs on the front end side, you can embed the actual artifact and interact with it. The master user can access all the application content within Power BI. We have security context, which you may treat them as the workspaces or any other setup the ISV might have, whether he has a separate tenant for the application or he might use the existing enterprise tenant to embed the application within it. It's up to their setup logic. We also have additional personas like the AD ISV tenant admin user and the analyst, which might access the content of the application directly for PowerBI.com or within the through the third-party application. Role level security. Whenever you would like to restrict the data that return to the end user, whether the end user is part of the role or the end user itself, you might set up role level security on the report level or on the data set level if it's external AS, for example. With this release, we will respect static RLS, meaning that the roles are predefined in the report and assigned to master users. So if you would like to have few rows, for example, you will have to define several master users and make the calls of the authentication on behalf of the end user to go through this particular master user to ensure his context is applied to the generated queries. Dynamic RLS, we understand how important and common this scenario is. We are currently working on it and expect it to be available for embedded in the next quarter. So we would like to demo our client-side SDK using our very friendly publish live sample. How many of you are familiar with this sample? Well, too bad. We would like to this still to be highly available, and everyone is encouraged to use it because it's so simple and will get your life simpler when you are about to start embedding Power BI resource. So here we have two sections on the main bar. We have the sample and documentation. We will start with the sample, but it's worth mentioning that in the documentation tab, we have instruction videos of how to use this sample and updates on our new stuff coming out. So mostly when you are about to embed Power BI resource, you'll have three steps: authorization, embedding, and interaction. I would like to start with embedding dashboard, which is also a new functionality we released, and I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with it because everyone just relates to reports. So when clicking on the embed dashboard, I'm sorry, it was just pre-populated. Okay. We can see here on the main screen, we can see this section which contains the authorization scope, the embed token. We have it pre-populated because we have pre-canned dashboard for the sample case in the Power BI tutorial tenant. And we have the embed URL and the dashboard ID. These are the inputs for the JavaScript SDKs. We have here a code box which has the JavaScript code using the SDK, which you can just copy and paste it in your own project and get started quickly. And we have the log viewer, which is listening on the events coming out from the embedded layer, and the application can listen and act on it. So when I press the run button, the magic happens, and we have embedded Power BI dashboard here within this third-party application or our sample application. We also support real-time tiles. We have web content. We have custom visualization, and everything that is supported in Power BI also available in Power BI embedded. Whenever the dashboard gets changed on Power BI, it gets reflected in the embedded if it's done with the application master user, of course, or in the SaaS embed mode if it's on behalf of the end user, like the other authentication mode when you access the application with the Power BI token. We also, within this code, we also listen on the tile click event, meaning that whenever the end user of the application clicks on a tile, the host application being notified with some metadata on the first on the click tile, the associated report it was coming from, and embed URL, such that the application can have a customized experience and open the report in embed mode or do something like it's up to their design. So that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover about dashboard and embed. Going back to the authorize, I would like to show you the full available interactions we have for reports. So we go to the embedded report. Here we see also the modes available. We have view mode, edit, and create. I will keep this demo simple, as we will start with the view just to be focused on the interactions part. So we just run the code, and we have here the embedded reports. When we're going to the interaction, we can see a full list of the available interaction and their categories to report level interaction, page level, etc. Let's pick one, for example. We can set filters from outside from the application and impact the embedded report. When I click the set filters, we can see the relevant code populated here within the code box. We can just run, and we see the magic happens. The report got filtered. This was an example for interaction from the application to the embedded layer. We can see the other way interactions as well. If we go, for example, to the events and we would like to listen on the data selected event, let's clear the log view before. So we are listening on this event, and this basically means that whenever the end user of the application just clicks on a data point, the application is being notified with all the information regarding this data point. Its categorical axis, the actual value, and like you will see, it's the same way as we have in the tooltip. On top of this, the application can take an action and have a customized experience, like opening purchase order or something based on the end user selection. It will really, we get stories about users using it, and they are reaching amazing experiences in their applications. So that's pretty much. We will have the link available in our presentation, and it's also available in GitHub, and on the web you may find the link for this. And really, it's intuitive and amazing tool, fantastic way to start playing and being up to date with the new interactions we keep on delivering.
And to answer somewhere in the back, I don't see you now. You asked about it. So using this site, you'll find everything that we release. Once we release a new capability, you'll see it here in the tutorial. Okay, this is exactly here to help you understand what's available. Okay. Okay.
Are you making the visual level filters available again? Because it looks like you only have page level and report level filters. What about the visual?
Yeah, we are aware of it. We will make it work. It's not like a defect or something. It's more like a feature. It was never supported.
Any time frame for that? No.
I cannot communicate right now.
No time frame, but we'll find the time to do it. Yes.
If I designed a phone layout in the desktop and I had it in my embedded website, is it possible to switch it to the phone layout depending on the size of the viewport?
We'll start working on this, and again, time frame of a quarter.
Yeah, we are working on it. Yeah.
This quarter.
Question here.
Sure.
Is Q&A available as part of the embedding?
Not at this point, but it's also something we have on our backlog.
Which one?
Q&A.
Yes.
Okay. Another
Also on the
question.
back.
Is this available for government tenant?
For what? Sorry.
A government tenant?
Golden.
Government tenant. Government.
Again, this is something in the works.
Yeah.
It'll be released. I don't remember the date. Elon here knows.
It
but
would
it's
be
in the same-
available. Yeah, we have it. September.
Got it.
Yes.
Are visuals supported?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Custom visualizations as well as our visual supported.
Okay, so all of this requires Power BI Premium to run.
Yes, so the thing is, again, I'll go back to it. I have a slide on it to talk about this and explain what we mean by that, but generally speaking, if you want to build a POC, you want to develop, you can use that with Power BI Pro license. When you want to go to a production level, either for testing or for deploying your solution, you must have premium capacity.
How much longer will the workspaces be supported for?
Again, I have a slide on this as well. It depends whether you have an agreement with Microsoft, and so it will be supported for as long as your agreement is, how do you say that? Is alive. But if you don't, then we'll keep the old service up for another year. Let's go back. We don't have much time, only 5 minutes. So let's go back to the slides to make sure we cover everything that we wanted to cover. I'll go through this really quickly. This is the JavaScript APIs. The in green are the new APIs that we released. This is the self-service KPIs of editing and creating reports. Data selection events that are just demoed, and the embed dashboards and tiles, of course. With the REST APIs, we have report cloning and binding, as I mentioned earlier in the slides. We have the CRUD, the create, update, delete workspaces APIs. set data source connections, refresh data sets, and gateway APIs, everything to allow you to have a fully automated story for your deployment. In terms of licensing and pricing, so again, to repeat what I've just said, you need a pro license for sure for your application. The pro license is mandatory for the development process, and then on top of that, you'll need to have a premium capacity. Our capacity starts at the lowest of $625 a month. By the way, Amir also mentioned that we have 6 layers of capacities, of premium capacities. The top 3 ones, the P capacities, should be used for Power BI. So if you are using Power BI, you cannot use a capacity lower than P1. If you're using Power BI embedded with the embed token for external reports, not Power BI reports, not Power BI users, I mean, you can use all of those 6 capacities, starting from 625. On top of that, with the current experience in Azure, the way you know it is changing a bit. We changed the page so it will look like this. This is like a page that explains what needs to be done now with the new experience. If you haven't used the workspace collection resources in Azure until now, you won't be able to create new ones. And this is the experience you'll have to go through, everything that we've just discussed. If you did have Power BI workspace collections and you do have a solution running, then you can continue and work with that solution for the timeline that we'll show in a second. Where is it? I skipped the slide. I skipped it. So the answer is, if you have an agreement with Microsoft about your usage of Power BI Embedded until now, you will have the ability to continue and use it for as long as your agreement lives. If you don't, then the old service will live for another year from today. I did want to talk a bit about what's coming next, except for the questions that were asked here, and I hope we got you all the answers. So in terms of the way we think about Power BI Embedded, if until today we look at what customers are doing with Power BI Embedded, they are mostly doing a reporting page. This is close to what we have demoed in the application. So in your application, you have a reports pane, and in that report pane, you embed a full report. This is what we see from our customers today. Looking forward, we expect that the embedded parts will be part of everything in your application. So for example, if you have a flow of ordering a new item from the catalog, and you want to know, when you go through the process of the orders, you want to know whether this item was ordered, I don't know, what's the top 5 items on your catalog. And you want to have this when you interact with your when the salesperson goes out and interact with someone on the field. So this brings out mobile support, which some of you asked for, and this is something we want to do really quickly. It brings up the questions for a single visual embedding, which we've heard customers ask for. And once we do that, we will allow the in-page analytics to be something more of the usual usage of Power BI. The interactivity part. So I've heard some questions here, will we support this or that? We want to enhance the interactivity between the application and the embedded part, so we'll do everything that we hear about. So ideas page, you can bring everything up there. I'm not sure whether I heard it here or not, but we are considering adding customized menus, so you'll be able to set the actions on top of the visualization. So if you saw the demo that Amir did, like drilling into a report, will allow you to set this up through the APIs as well, not only through Power BI. And then white labeling is another thing. If you do not want to see anything related to Power BI, you'll be able to hide it. This is it from us, I think. I don't know how much time we have left. We are here for you to answer all the questions that you have. We'll be at the Ask the Experts later on. If you have more questions, feel free to come and talk to us. We'll be happy to hear your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you very much.